So I do get on tangents, and I think that might be my kung fu style. Like I said in this series, is a flying tangent style. But what I was saying is that um a lot of the realest things you have to work for it. So like even if you have like healing, like you actually have to work for your healing. That's a little bit about what's egregious about like when people are when people are victimized, right? I was recently victimized financially by a listed company that I tried to purchase something for. They victimized me in a dealing, but because the way that they victimized me, it actually affects my credit because it reflects more so poorly on me, the way that that worked out. And they took me to the tune of thousands of dollars, and then on top of that, I had to it reflects poorly on me the way that it played out. So that's where I actually so I was stripped of my resources, my means of livelihood. I would have been stripped of my footing for my livelihood if I hadn't had intervention of grace and atonement of a family member in mercy. And then I also have to pay for it because it's not a good, it's not a good mark on my credit, the way that that played out. So I actually have to, I was stripped of all that much, and then I also have to pay for it. I have to pay for whatever I'm gonna do to remedy my credit in my situation. I have to again pay for that. So you are victimized, deprived, and you require the atonement and the healing, the mercy that also I had to that takes that's humiliated with that because I had stepped out into independence, and then I had to come get support from a family member, and then I had to be subject to that family member's like to be patronized because that family member didn't beat me over with it, but they can still say like, oh yeah man, they can still talk to me as though I'm not independent because they're helping me, even though I had made strong strident steps to be independent. I get stripped of my I near about get stripped of my independence and my resources, and then I have to come back and grovel to undergo humiliation from whatever bearing I would have as being an independent person to get the support I would need to survive this injustice. And then on top of that, I have to work to rebuild my credit and my standing after the way that it played out. So you're punished with a disservice, and then you pay the person who hurt you, and then you also have to pay other people for the footing and the opportunity to fix what was done to you. So you completely pay for the whole thing. So we actually pay for our healing. So when different things happen to people, like and then you have to pay for what was done to you. That's what's very heinous. But also, if you do things to yourself, like if you injure your health, you have to pay for that. You have to pay for what it costs for the treatment. But some of the treatment might also take work. So I said in this video that when I was a young person and maybe having some of the experiences that I would be entitled to, like with parents who love me and stuff like that. Some of my parents were indulging their own appetites and their own interests to such an extent that it injured them, and so they now they have to pay for the healing, such as that they can't have the same liberty that we have. And sometimes you would be surprised how blessed you are just to be able to use the restroom where you want to take a road trip, and you can go to the side and use a bathroom here, and you can travel 100 miles over here and use the bathroom over there. That's freedom. Now you have to now if you have to come and be by a bedside designated that has to take a lot of supplies so that you can get treatment for one day, because you need treatment just to get to the next day when you have certain conditions, and that treatment requires you to sit down somewhere, almost like timeout, and get this healing. So you need to be on timeout for this healing that you need to get through one day, and you do that for 10 years, 12 years, 15 years. Now you can understand that you have to work for things. Um, so we have to work in this life. But I was saying that if someone went to to hell, my understanding would be that they don't get to sit around and have mean stuff done to them. They have to work for it too. So you would start them out maybe by like being on a treadmill. That'd be like the active component, the starter, and you make them think they're about to be on there forever. But if you actually put them on there forever, then you would actually be wicked too at that point, because that is truly wicked. So then you wouldn't be in a standpoint to administer justice. So that wouldn't actually be feasible to put someone on a treadmill forever. But then you can also do something like with sending someone to heaven, is that you put them on a treadmill and you make them think they're doing it for the well-being of people that they love, and for love, for the sake of love. And that's going to feel out. It's going to be harder than hell, but it's going to feel outstanding at one point. And I think that whatever that feeling is akin to the five the articles of worship in tantra as um wine, lovemaking, meat, fish, and corn, especially corn. I can't entirely articulate how profound corn is when you're experiencing like running, like as the sun rises, or like just really running. Like you get that experience of, I don't know if anyone watching this has ever had a second wind. So say you try out for track, right? You're not used to running track, and they're gonna put you way harder than most sports would. What it's gonna feel like your first day of track, and at a certain point you're exhausted, but they're like, oh yeah man, we need you to run one more lap. And there's all these beautiful, all the cool people out there, all the beautiful girls out there. They're seeing what you're gonna do as you get challenged like that. So you're like, damn it, you're gonna suck it up and keep running to get so you don't look like an idiot in front of all these beautiful people. And somewhere you get a second wind where you feel like you're born again. You can maybe say you actually were born again there to a degree, and you have another wind and run, and what that feels like. That's what I mean about like running for the sake of life. And somehow corn is that makes me think of corn because a lot of the livestock that we have that feeds us meat, the gruel that they feed them, it uses a lot of corn in there. And I just think that I can't entirely enunciate how the traditions of India would look at or appreciate corn, but I can feel a lot of what that meant. And I was exposed to that thought in the works of Arthur Avalon, and I came to feel what that meant by doing exercise, but I can't entirely articulate it. But I do know that in some of the teachings that are available from the Diné people, also known as the Navajo, but I think the Navajo might be a Spanish appropriation, and even, for lack of a better word, a bastardization of the name of that people that was applied to them by the Spaniards, being called the Navajo. But what a word is can we also give words meaning. So what that word has meant to people who are Navajo or people who love Navajo people can be as beautiful as anything else, and another dimension of the meaning and value of that word in itself. The Navajo word being also beautiful, but I think the older word, according to Navajo elder teachings, is Diné, and some of the teachings that they make available to preserve the lineage by teaching it is that there's different levels of existence that amount to worlds, and they are characterized by colors. And some of the ones leading up to precedent to this world would be like the blue world. I think that might be like the second degree. And then this world is called the yellow world, and that the color yellow is significant in this iteration of world. And I don't I could be corrected on that. That's what my remembrance of that is. And I think that that's similar, where you appreciate that human beings actually did come from the ocean. It's been said, in that if you take the reality within the human body, I'm getting a little bit, I am actually getting on a tangent with this, but I want to get around to saying that we come from water, and that might be significant in a blue world as it's appreciated by the Diné people. We live in a world now where corn might be more significant than a person can appreciate, generally speaking, such as it being a staple to a lot of the animals that we still derive sustenance from, and also to the people, such as on the geographical region of the United States, that where corn was a staple for quite a while. And also the people of India, in the traditions of Tantra, have a specific regard and esteem and veneration for corn, according to Arthur Avalon. And that might be an actual unique correlation. And that also, according to the Diné people, this iteration of life, the earth plane, walking on two legs, has been called the yellow world, and the color yellow would be significant. But I'm not an expert or authoritative on any of those statements. This is just from my superficial exposure and scholarship upon YouTube. And I wanted to talk a little bit more about that. But I also want to say this is still a music channel. And so my concept of hell is that after you let someone think they're about to run forever on a treadmill, then you get to the real thing, and you let them sit around and wait. Now they have now eternity to think about what they've done to other people and to themselves. To the person who's done wicked things, you just let them sit there and think about themselves and the people they've affected. That's going to be harder than hell. The person who made it to heaven, that they now are entitled to some amount of enjoyment, you give them that same circumstance, because nobody has it easier or harder, but you also give them a guitar, and you let them enjoy a guitar for that expense, and that's heaven at that point. So I just want to say a guitar is heaven, and this is a music channel.